Welcome to TimesRecordNews.com football preview show. Andy Newberry here with Zach Duncan, Jonathan Hull, getting ready for the rivalry game.
That's right.
It's almost a minute. The game's over on Friday. They move forward to Ryder Old High week.
It was talked about instantly at the Ryder game, I can tell you that. I mean, Coach Bindle talked about them beating Sherman and then immediately went into, this is what I expect of you this week. Stay off social media. Stop talking on social media. I don't see nothing like that. You talk, you're running like 1,000 yards. You do it again, you're not playing in the game. Yeah, they're all over it right away.
So, and all gets kicked off Wednesday night, actually, is all the sub-varsity games. That would move them up a day to give them a little breather between those two. Ryder got the win. Ryder has the momentum, which is nothing new. I was shocked going back and looking through, just thinking through it. Old High hasn't come into this game off a win, in 9 years.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't realize. I know it's the second straight year Old High's coming to this game winless.
A lot of it was scheduling. For a lot of those years, they were playing at the end. They caught the Geyer Ryder combo at the end of the year, or the Denton Ryan Ryder combo, which wasn't real good on the schedule making. But they had a chance to win last week. They could have beat Denison. They caught a break for the second straight week. They were playing against a backup quarterback. The Coyotes fumbled 7 times and recovered all of their fumbles. So they were catching breaks. They just couldn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, no, that's kind of just been the story with them. You feel like they're close, and at the last 3 weeks, it feels like they've been close. And it just doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't carry over all 4 quarters, and it just gets away from them.
And Ryder had to make plays to beat Sherman.
Ryder had to have 4 turnovers to beat Sherman. If they don't do that, they're probably not beating Sherman. I mean, they recovered the opening kickoff, for a touchdown. Devin Smith intercepts a pass and takes it back for 6. Would have had a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Moving him to linebacker has worked out on both ends.
It has worked out. He had a sack and an interception.
And then there's some future with Vargas.
Yeah, Vargas has got a strong arm. So now Ryder had a lot of things go their way, and it had to have things go their way. Sherman's a good team. I mean, they've got a running back that is big, physical.
And weren't they coming off 0-10 or 1-9?
Yeah, they're coming off 0-10, but that junior running back's averaging about 300 yards a game. I mean, and they run the dog out of him, and he gets past the line of scrimmage. He's hard to tackle.
They were 2-2 coming in, but they could have been 4-0. I think they had an overtime loss and a 1-point loss in there, so it's not like they've tasted some success.
They're a real team, but that's a big win for Ryder, and this game itself is a big beat for the playoff scenarios that come with it. Yeah, the 4 teams that kind of are competing for those last 2 playoff spots.
This is a game, from the Kyle perspective, that's a game they got to have.
Yeah, they do. You don't want to be 0-2 against that Denison-Ryder-Sherman combination, whereas Ryder's trying to go 2-0 against that combination of teams. And they do that. They get Denison next week. Well, they go 3-0 to open the district season with wins against Sherman, Old High, and Denison. Well, they feel like they're punching their ticket to the playoffs. They're punching their ticket for that number 1 seed in Division II.
So, yeah, it's a big game for both. 2 years in a row, this is coming down to the 4th quarter.
Well, and 2 years ago, we kind of thought Old High needed to go 1-1, and they did. They won the they won the Ryder game after losing to Brewer. Yeah. And last year they didn't. They dropped both of these, and the same thing too. I mean, they go 0-2. It's going to be real tough to get out of the hole.
It's a big hole to dig out of, and because after that, I mean, they've got Sherman, and then you think, well, can they beat Sherman? Sherman's tough. Like I said, now Old High's they're gonna be behind the 8 ball with this one. Stephen Gaines got a concussion in last week's game. He left your game early in the third quarter, or late in the third quarter.
Looking at replays, it looked like it was just a shoulder, and it wasn't. He takes big hits. He's a physical player. So at first it didn't look like anything there, and of course nobody's going to be honest about anything that's going on there.
Right.
But without him, it's hard to imagine how good their offense. I know they'll try to make some changes. They may come up with more of a wildcat package.
The coaching staff hasn't said that he's out yet. Gaines has posted on Facebook himself saying that he's not playing. So maybe there's some gamesmanship there. Who knows what's going on? But if they got to play without him,
it's a big difference maker. Kind of because it gives them the semblance of a normal offense. If they've got that power running game that you always have to respect, even like on a 3rd and 7, Stephen Gaines can run over 2 of your guys and get or beat them with his feet.
He's a fantastic talent.
And then on defense, it's a loss.
Yeah,
even though he wasn't playing every snap, but
when he's in there, he makes plays. He plays a playmaker on special teams for him as well. I mean, it hurts in all 3 phases.
For this game to be good, going down to the wire, I think Old High's got to get off to a good start. They've had some bad starts this year. If you look at their first quarter scoring, it's slanted a lot toward the other team, and especially if Gaines doesn't play, if they get down a couple touchdowns, it's hard for me to see.
They have to have big plays from those receivers like Black and Hatton. They got to make plays. They'd have to make some plays that they hadn't been making consistently. From the Rider perspective, what do you see their game plan?
I mean, it's Willie Cherry, and it's wherever Willie Cherry lines up, get the ball into Willie Cherry's hands, and if it's at quarterback, look for him to run. And Willie Phillips is coming off a real strong game too, but when he's at receiver, there's no doubt he's a Division I athlete, and he looked great at receiver on Friday. He caught only 2 passes, but both passes that he caught, one was a jump ball in the end zone he went up and got. The other one was a pretty post route that he whipped his guy to get inside and burned him.
Years ago, when Old High would come to this game as underdog, it was always Rider was so much bigger and deeper up front. I'm not sure that they're not huge now. That's not the case anymore.
No.
So I think Old High can go in thinking they can win some of those battles in the trenches.
Old High's got the size advantage, and Michael Nash at defensive tackle or defensive end, wherever they line him up, he's coming off his best game of the year, according to Coach Shar, who does coach defensive linemen as well. So between him, Jesus Silva down there as well, Trey Hatton's had 2 pretty strong games in a row. Old High's defense, I think, can be the key to this game. They're starting to play better.
They can keep it close.
Yeah.
If they can keep it close, then you can figure, you can strike or have a special teams touchdown or something keep you in it. And there were years they were overmatched in that area, and I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that's why we've had 2 close games in a row.
And Ryder's offensive line has struggled at times. I mean, you look at what Kennedale did to him whenever they put a lot of pressure on him, brought some different things at him. So I think there's a game plan there that to slow down Ryder's offense.
So. What are our picks? What are your picks? What's a good score? Good how much by whoever?
It's a blowout.
No,
I don't think
it's a 2 touchdown blowout. Line. I guess we'll call it a line on Pigskin Prep.
I guess is what I call that.
Yeah. No, we don't encourage gambling in high school football. If you're doing that, get some help. But I do think Ryder probably pulls it out, but it's going to be a close game.
It feels like they should think they're a couple scores better, but in this game a lot of times it gets shrunk.
I think the gap.
It gets tight.
I think the talent gap between the 2 teams this year is tighter than it was a year ago, and that game needed a last-second field goal to be decided.
Yeah.
So I think
T.J. Vasher was on the field and dominating, and doing well.
He had to dominate the second half to get them there.
So it is actually not the only game in the area. It just feels like it.
Yeah, well, a lot of teams are off.
And I think Hershey may be glad that they're off because they had always, even if they had a big game this week, that last week of the year, the Hershey-Burke would get overshadowed because this game just kind of overwhelms. But what do you see around the area?
I think a lot of teams are off, but a lot of 5-team districts are having to play. So Iowa Park is going and playing Wall, which is out there, closer to St. Angelo. They're playing Breckenridge on Friday. Wall's a 3A powerhouse. They've played for state titles recently. Always go 3, 4, 5 rounds deep. So even though it's a smaller classification, I think they're both Hawks, I believe, and they're both green. So I don't know.
They are.
I think Wall's going to, pretty physical up front. They beat Cisco already, so they're a tough team. I think that's going to be a good game. Vernon and Canadian are meeting up in Vernon, and Canadian, this is a good team, not quite the team they had the last couple of years when they won state, but Vernon's sitting here one.
Canadian has played a tough schedule.
Yeah, well they have to because no one wants to play them,
That's right.
and you can't go north.
They're a bigger school.
You only have one direction to go
You're in Colorado.
Yeah, and, Oklahoma, so they're landlocked as well. But Vernon's sitting here 1-4, but they feel like all right, we had Springtown down 10.5. We played with Wiley. We played for a lot of the game with Altus. It sounded like I talked to Coach Bateman this week. It sounded like they've gotten inside the 30-yard line 11 times these last 3 weeks. 0 points on those 11 times. So
it's not a good ratio.
That's not a good ratio, no. So I think he's
they had that trouble with Hershey too. Red zone efficiency.
Yeah. So I think Vernon feels like things are coming around. I think it's a tough game. It's probably hard to pick them right now, but Vernon's going to go into district still. I think feeling like they can play with some of these teams. So. Grand Big Springs game, City View finishes up with Alvord, Jacksboro Boyd. There's a few of them out there, not very many, but the IP Wall game to me is the best game. Seymour is playing Holly too, and those are 2 pretty good teams. Seymour is coming off a bad loss. Monday looked really excellent. Monday was really impressive.
Who is our best 2A team in the area?
I might say Monday now. I know Electra's got better, right? It's either Electra or Monday. I think both of those teams have kind of made it clear they're better than Seymour. And Petrolia lost to Seymour, so it's hard for me to put them up there with them. But they play in about 2 or 3 weeks, so we'll know. But man, Monday just looked really good on defense, and they got one of the best running backs in the area with Davion Dawkins, and they're only playing 5 guys both ways, which usually Monday has to play 8, 9 guys both ways. So they're getting guys rest that will help in the long run too. So
it'll be interesting going into some of those district races.
Yeah.
So. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll come back and break down next week how Ryder Old Eye went, what it means for them going forward, and then we'll have some previews of some of the district races.
District previews.